Sabbasachi Datta, Excellency Minister, Honorable Minister of Development of Northeastern Region, Culture and Tourism, Sri Kishan Reddy, Excellency Ministers, Ambassadors, distinguished guests, both from Bangladesh and India, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and Assalamu alaikum, namaste. I'm absolutely delighted to be here at this fantastic historical city that is so close to our heart and history, Agartala, Tripura. At the outset, I would like to pay my deepest homage and respect to all the people and all the martyrs, both from Bangladesh and India, who laid down their lives for the independence of Bangladesh. And this city, this state of India, was one of the greatest hosts for over a year, and not only just that, before and after the independence, the state played a crucial role. I would like to pay my deepest respect to the founding father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and also to the deep tribute to the people of Tripura, especially who opened their homes and businesses for the people of Bangladesh and who were here to seek refuge, to flee the oppression and brutality of the occupant Pakistani forces. Coming back to today's event, sitting between two great friends of Bangladesh, and one of them surely qualifies to be the greatest, India and Japan. It's truly fascinating, and I would like to spend, and my delegation will be listening to all the deliberations over the course of this evening and tomorrow. But very quickly, I know Mr. Reddy have a flight to catch, and I do not stand between his present and upcoming commitments in the evening or tomorrow morning. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and Prime Minister Modi for almost for last over 10 years have achieved miracles for both Bangladesh and India. And it is becoming an example. Even though we have tried really hard to expand the achievements and benefit the rest of the region, but it's proving difficult. SARC, we have BIMSTEC, we have narrowed it down to BBIN, but even that one is also proving difficult. But when I assumed office 9 years ago, my Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina described our future plan with India, and her single line instruction was that we will take our connectivity to pre-65 days. And I know Ambassador Hiroshi Suzuki very charged up, and of course we are grateful to the leadership of Japan, the subsequent Prime Minister especially, late Shinzo Abe, who was one of the closest friends of Bangladesh, and we miss him dearly. And achievements that we have made in our bilateral relationship also initiated, of course, was laid down during, again, in the history back in 1971 during the War of Liberation. But the physical embodiment and also the deliberations, and Bangladesh wasn't ready after 75. We have lost quite a few decades, but Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina made Bangladesh ready to do business, to talk about regional and global issues, and we have always found Japan by our side. But to the relatively newly arrived ambassador of Japan, I would like to assure him that we have almost achieved the pre-65 goals. In fact, we have expanded. Mr. Reddy will probably, given the time that he will have once I finish my long speech, is he himself just came back here. The reason of his delay, if I may just disclose that, went to see the expansion work of Bangladesh-India railway link that's expanding to Agartala and beyond. And it wasn't there during pre-65 days. So we are actually not just achieved or achieving pre-65 connectivity, we're expanding, and we want to expand further. So sky is the limit. And when it comes to India-Bangladesh relationship, nothing can stop us in achieving our aspiration, our common aspiration of 1.4 billion Indians and 170 million Bangladeshis. And I'm sure many other countries. I recently went to Africa and visited a couple of landlocked countries. And the moment I mentioned landlocked, I was politely reminded that they would love to be known as land-linked countries. And I think we are spreading that, coining that concept or rephrasing that rather negative connotation of landlocked to land-linked. And Bangladesh wants to be at the center of it, not just Northeast countries that you mentioned, Bhutan and Nepal and beyond. Quite a few things due to the time constraint. I'll not go on and list down, but we have recently inaugurated another milestone project, which is known as Friendship Pipeline, India-Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline, through which India will be transporting its fuel from east to west, and in between Bangladesh is also being benefited. Same will be done or is being done, are being done in terms of electricity. And hope sometime in future we will have the same with natural gas or LNGs. So there are so many deliverables, so many that we have delivered. I was sharing with Mr. Suzuki, Hiroshi Suzuki, that since he came in relatively recently, that about Bangladesh's achievements, about India's achievements, but all the mega projects, if I may just read it out very quickly, the projects that we have undertaken, hardly any of this actually is ready as yet. I mean, one of them is 3.2 kilometer wide tunnel under the river Kondofuli, which is next to the Chittagong port. It's hopefully will be ready and delivered in next 1 year, so I don't have the exact date. But as you said, Matarbari will be ready by 2027. That's the deep sea port. But there are so many other things that Matarbari will bring to the fore. And our achievements in terms of security cooperation in the border with the Northeast, reactivating some of the missing links, both in terms of rail, road, and riverine. Very recently, there was a tourist boat that was initiated in Ganges and ended up in Guwahati in the region and sailed through Bangladesh, which is first of its kind in last little over 75 years. But prior 1945, there were boats and multimodal connectivity between Kolkata and Yangon, and it was truly multimodal. It was boat, it was rail, it was bus, it was domestic travel as well. And during one of our Nodi festival, I'm sure Sabyasachi will recall that we actually displayed the tickets, the permit to get on those services back in those days. So, we have almost revived. What I was trying to say is, before we delivered Paira, before even we have delivered Padma Bridge, much talked about and well-known infrastructure for the developing world, despite all the odds, before the third terminal, again with the Japanese help, even before the coal-based power plants or the other power plants that we are planning, the achievements of Bangladesh of 7% growth and becoming 35th largest economy in 2023, and the forecast suggests that by 2030, Bangladesh will become the 30th largest economy, will require a greater market and a greater connectivity. And that's what we are aspiring. I know, many would try and dig deep and, try and find a political dimension, how the geopolitics is going to play. But we probably have the simplest of the foreign policies, which is not very easy to practice, which is laid down by the founding father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and that is friendship to all, malice to none. It's very simple, but it's not easy to practice, especially in today's world. So in terms of Indo-Pacific, I know it's obviously one of the undoubtedly a core area of global politics, and its importance is ever increasing, considering its collective share in global GDP, preponderance in international trade, and growing technological dynamism. And we all know and love to claim that this is the Asian century, and we are proving that. Ambassador again referred to what was discussed in Davos this year. The one region that will continue to grow no matter what is Asia. And we, India and Bangladesh, sits right at the center of that. So the Indo-Pacific area is the key determinant for ensuring long-term prosperity of the South Asian region. And Bangladesh, as an active, interested, and responsible stakeholder of the region, envisions a free, open, peaceful, secure, and inclusive Indo-Pacific for shared prosperity for all, where Bay of Bengal is a major constituent. That goes without saying. And of course, on the other hand, I'd like to particularly thank, I've mentioned a couple of times already, Japan, Bangladesh's largest development partner and a common development partner in the region for both Bangladesh and India, and especially in the Pacific, I was told, for their persistent development cooperation to Bangladesh, particularly for the Bay of Bengal industrial growth belt known as Big B. And it was none other than Mr. Shinzo Abe who first tabled the idea. Initiative towards making Bangladesh into a regional road, rail, energy, logistic connectivity hub. The Big B would also substantially benefit this region as it focuses on economic connectivity, which complements India's Act East policy. And that's how, I think the region was waiting for long for a leadership like Sheikh Hasina and like Narendra Modi. And that's how we term the Sonali Odhai, the golden chapter of our journey. And it Act East policies like Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, that's inclusivity. And that's what we love. That's what we have committed at the big stage of United Nations when we adopted 2030 SDG agendas. And I think there are a lot of things that we have talked about and suggested that needs to be done together. We'd love to hear from academics, the think tanks. We have players, secretaries and ambassadors, high commissioner, who were involved and who are still involved in the process. And we need to listen to them to understand how better we can achieve that. But in order to benefit from my part, from the lucrative potentials of connectivity ventures, I would like to highlight very quickly 5 areas and recommendations for you to consider. The political leadership, which is largely is present, but of course, India have states and you have, of course, central government. So the political leadership at all levels of the region need to be visionary about regional cooperation and collaboration. And we have found out in our SAARC forum that there are some countries where they could have done things slightly differently. Second, the way Bangladesh is open to allow her territory for use of her neighbors under its good neighborliness policy. Bangladesh expects that her neighbors reciprocate the sentiment to benefit her people. Third, developed countries and international financial institutions. Obviously, Japan is co-host of this event, and we are not suggesting this, aiming you, but watching Japan, the other friendly countries should come forward and invest heavily for developing our infrastructures for seamless regional multimodal connectivity. Fourth, we need to redouble our efforts for early operationalization of the BIMSTEC master plan for transport and the BBIN motor vehicle agreement, which is just inch away for regularization of passengers, personal and vehicle. And fifth, for availing the benefits of connectivity in a sustainable manner, power and energy. Sixth, even though it's not printed here, when I or we rather met Honorable Minister for Donor Tourism and Culture last year, September in Delhi. We suggested that Bangladesh will be very happy to host all the government officials, development officials, ones that who matters, especially chief ministers and his or her offices, to attend at least a 2 or 3 days long conclave in Bangladesh. So if I may humbly remind Honorable Minister Reddy to consider our open invitation to all the northeastern states to be in Dhaka for a day. So we listen from you, and your government, MEA, listens to you, the northeastern states, and we, from your aspirations, we know largely, we know what are your aspirations, but we will have our government officials in the audience from both the sides, and they will listen to you. So it will be a tri-party, it's largely two parties, but of course the states have their own challenges sometime. And for a day, for the businesses to find out the potentials. You know, I came in here, I have my university professor who is attending this program, and I was jokingly telling him that I came to Brahmanbaria but never came to Agartala, as if I'm considering two cities that belongs to the kind of same place. You know, my hometown, my constituency takes, if I'm lucky, takes 6 hours. If I'm unlucky, it takes about, you know, you can double it. But, you know, I came in to Agartala in just 3 hours drive. So it's much closer. And that's how we want to treat. It's not just a payback time for us for the fantastic contribution this city and this state has made, but it's for the future generation to invest for a greater and brighter shared prosperity. At the end, guided by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, we are advocating for inclusive, once again, development of the region for everyone. We need to grow together for peace and prosperous region. Therefore, I believe this conclave hosted by Sabyasachi and his fantastic team and co-hosted by the government of Tripura and MEA and a little bit of support from our end as well, would be able to rejuvenate all our visions in this regard, which will ultimately reinforce our efforts with renewed momentum. With this, I conclude. I thank you all. Joy Bangla. Joy Bangabandhu. May Bangladesh and India live forever. Thank you.